The Justice Department promised transparency on the Epstein files. Not someday, not partially, but by a legal deadline written into law. This wasn't a courtesy release. It wasn't optional. It was mandatory. And that's why this moment mattered so much. Because for years, the Epstein case has represented something bigger than one criminal investigation. It represents unanswered questions, elite accountability, and public trust in institutions. So when the deadline arrived, millions of Americans expected clarity. Instead, they watched the system stall in real time.
When people logged on, they weren't looking for entertainment. They weren't even looking for scandal. They were looking for confirmation that the system could finally deliver what it promised. But instead of documents, they got a message saying, "You are in line." And the wine didn't move. For minutes, for hours. In some cases, not at all. That's when frustration turned into suspicion.
In most cases, a website crash would be a minor story. But context matters. This wasn't a concert ticket sale. This wasn't a product launch. This was the release of documents tied to one of the most controversial criminal cases in modern American history. When transparency fails at this moment, people don't just see a glitch, they see a pattern.
The law didn't just say, release the files. It said the files must be searchable. That detail matters because searchable documents allow the public to verify claims independently. And when the search function doesn't work reliably, it undermines the entire purpose of the release.
For many viewers, the real frustration didn't begin with the website. It began once the documents were finally visible. Page after page appeared heavily redacted, names blocked out, paragraphs blacked over, entire sections unreadable. And while redactions are legally allowed, the scale of them immediately raised questions. At that point, people weren't asking for gossip. They were asking whether this release actually added any new clarity at all.
The Justice Department responded by defending its process. Officials said the redactions were necessary to protect victims and minors. According to the DOJ, more than 200 lawyers reviewed the files, and multiple internal components were involved. They described the release as historic and promised that more documents would follow within weeks. But for critics, that explanation only partially answered the concern.
What made this moment unusual was who was criticizing the DOJ. Not just one party, both. Lawmakers from opposite sides of the aisle said the release failed the spirit and the letter of the law. Some called it incomplete. Others said it may even violate statutory requirements. That kind of bipartisan frustration is rare, and it sends a powerful signal.
This wasn't the first time the Epstein files rollout caused controversy. Earlier this year, already public records were packaged and promoted, raising expectations that weren't met. That episode angered parts of the political base and damaged credibility. So when this new release stumbled, critics saw it not as an isolated mistake, but as a continuation.
Now the conversation is shifting from frustration to consequences. Some lawmakers are openly discussing subpoenas, contempt proceedings, and formal investigations. If those steps move forward, the question will no longer be about website glitches. It will be about whether the DOJ met its legal obligations or didn't.
At its core, this story isn't just about Epstein. It's about trust. When transparency is promised by law, delayed by technology, and filtered by redactions, people are left to wonder what transparency really means, and whether they're seeing the full picture or only what's been allowed. If you want the full story, not just headlines, stay with us.